Council, the urgency item would fall under Government Code Section 54954.2. An urgency exists because it came to the attention of the agency after the posting of the agenda. This item specifically came to the attention of staff yesterday, which was after the posting of the agenda, and also that immediate action is necessary. And on this item, we have a court hearing tomorrow morning, so we are hoping to get some direction from the City Council prior to then. It does require a 2/3 of the members present vote to actually add the item. The item is the City of Desert Hot Springs versus Ye Dynasty Entertainment, otherwise known as the litigation for the Hyundai Hotel. And first we'll take a vote on whether or not an urgency exists. If it does, I will add the item on for closed session and I will announce it.
So I need a motion to see if the urgency exists, and I have a motion by Jem Pye, second.
Second.
Please do that on the screen.
Are we using the in the queue thing, Mr. Mayor?
Yes. And does anybody have any comments? I would use the NQ thing on comments, but I can't see it. No comments, please. Please vote.
I'm trying to do.
Oh yeah, I guess you could do that.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, now we need to vote on.
With that, Mr. Mayor, I will announce the two items on for closed session. Number one is conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6 for unrepresented employee, which is city manager. And number two, which is the urgency item, which is conference with legal counsel for existing litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9D1. The name of the case is City of Desert Hot Springs versus Ye Dynasty Entertainment, Riverside, case number CVPS2104940.
Do we have any public comments? I forgot to ask.
No, we do not.
You want to wave through the crowd and see? No, no crowd. Okay. With that said, we'll recess the closed session.
Are we going to use your little queuing thing? Are we going to use your little
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. We'll get Mr. Gardner off the floor. He was off in Utah for a couple weeks and had to come back and shake hands and kiss babies and all that stuff. All right, well, we do have one presentation tonight. It is Public Works Week. And we want to recognize our public works staff, and if you can't, I think they can see on camera all our public works staff out in the audience. We have a proclamation, and then I'm going to give our public works director some time to talk a little bit more about what's happening this week. So we do have a proclamation, the City of Desert Hot Springs proclamation, whereas the public works professional focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Desert Hot Springs. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential to our citizens. And whereas it is the public interest for civic leaders and all citizens in Desert Hot Springs to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public work programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2023 marks the 63rd annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association and Canadian Public Works Association. Now, therefore, I, Scott Mattis, Mayor of the City of Desert Hot Springs, do hereby proclaim the week of May 21st through the 27th of 2023 as National Public Works Week. And with that said, we do appreciate each and every one of you that work in the public works sector. Without you, we can't get things done each and every day here in Desert Hot Springs, and sometimes you're kind of hidden behind the scenes, and we want you to know how much we do appreciate you and what you do for our community. Our Public Works Director, Nick Haker, is going to talk a little bit more about it. And then we have a special presentation.
Thank you. So it is National Public Works Week, and this is when we recognize the importance of public works infrastructure and the people that provide these vital services on a daily basis. Here at the City of Desert Hot Springs, we have 3 divisions: maintenance and operations, engineering and administration. M&O is responsible for maintaining all city parks, public right-of-ways, city facilities, landscape maintenance districts, drainage assessment districts. M&O provides 24-hour, 7 days a week response for all emergencies within the city. They work every day, they work at every city event and are scheduled to be there hours before anyone and then hours after everyone leaves. Rain, wind, heat, holidays, and early mornings or late nights, M&O is there making the city safe. For engineering, engineer is responsible for the design, plan checks, construction, and inspection of all public improvement projects, including city CIP projects and private development projects. Engineering verifies that all projects are constructed safely and with proper compliance with city, county, state, and federal standards, specifications, and requirements. Even after the project is completed, their attention to detail ensures the safety and well-being of the community for years to come. Administration is responsible for contract service agreements, environmental compliance, special event permits, rental agreements, and the department's budget. There are no coincidence Public Works Week is right around budget season, so. The administration handles public outreach and notification about city projects and other agencies' projects and mandates. In addition to their daily duties, the Public Works Department volunteers their time in the community. The department sponsored the Desert Hot Springs Little League team. Joe and Victor are new umpires in the league. Lynn, Judith, and James have volunteered their time by working in the snack bar and doing player evaluations. For years, Otto has spent countless hours in the outside of work mentoring the youth of Desert Hot Springs. Scott and Pablo have coached soccer teams for Desert Hot Springs AYSO. Julian's daughter, Estrella, and Lynn's husband, Keith, and Lynn's mom, Carol, have all volunteered their time at various city events. With large commitments and dedication to comes sacrifice. Unfortunately, these sacrifices usually are made by our loved ones. We want to thank and recognize the wives, husbands, children, family, and friends for allowing us to come to provide an exceptional service to our community. This year's Public Works Week slogan is connecting the world through public works. Desert Hot Springs Public Works Department represents that slogan perfectly. We are in the community, we are part of the community, we are Public Works. Please join me in celebrating the hard work of men and women of your Desert Hot Springs Public Works Department. Yes, come on.
Lynn's not shy. She's asking the rest of you to join her too. She will stand up here and take the mic and tell you all. For those of you watching on TV, you'll see our public works staff here, and again, they range from administrative all the way into the guys in the field that are, when there's a leak in the street or there's a problem in the park, they're there each and every day. So we want to say thank you. We also want to give a special thanks to, how do you want to handle this? I'll let you start with this.
So we did mention how we have not just our staff represent us, but we do have family members, and I want to call Keith up here. So the fun thing about Keith is not an employee. Keith is not a Desert Hot Springs resident. Keith has no connection to the city of Desert Hot Springs other than his wife Lynn, who works for the city. However, Keith has volunteered for almost 7 years for the following city programs. He's worked 7 days of Little League fireworks booth during August, during the heat. He's worked 3 days with Little League at the snack bar. He's worked 6 years at the holiday parade and festival, 12 SB 1383 public outreach events, and the Palm and Pearson mural project. Combined, he's worked over 170 hours. Lynn said, Keith goes wherever he's needed. So,
and on behalf of the city, there's no paycheck behind it, but there's a nice certificate. The mayor and the city council of the city of Desert Hot Springs would like to honor you, Keith Paul, for your deep appreciation of your dedication of time and energy. Thank you for all you do for the city of Desert Hot Springs and our community. I know Lynn probably tells you to get here, but either way, you're here and you've done a great service to our community, so thank you. And with that, I'm going to stand aside. We'll take some pictures, and that's all the presentations we have tonight.
I just want to tell you guys, we get the public contacting us, and they say, well, can we get this fixed? Can we get that fixed? And you guys are all doing a great job. But I explained to them, I said, how many people take care of your yard? And they say, well, one of us sometimes. And I said, well, you got all these people taking care of this entire city. And you guys are doing a really, really great job. This place has never looked better. And I don't think a time I've been up here, there's been a better crew, working here in the city. You guys are just doing a fabulous job. Really, really proud of you.
And I'll second that, and you guys are all superheroes. I don't know what it's like to go out at 3 a.m. to fix a fire hydrant or whatever, but you guys are always there and on the ball. I'm out early in the morning walking my dog. I see you out there at 5:30 getting in your trucks and heading off, and you always give me a honk and a wave, and I really appreciate that. But I can't tell you how much I admire all of you and the hard work you do, because it is very evident, and it's thankless in a lot of ways because you're behind the scenes and nobody sees you, but we see you, and I thank you.
I think shots are on us when we get a chance. Thank you guys for all you do.
Thank you very much.
And this is the daughter, not a worker. And again, we're recessed until 6 o'clock.
The Mayor and City Council welcome you to the Desert Hot Springs City Council meeting. As a courtesy to others, please silence all phones. Please complete a speaker request form, which can be found to the left of the entrance to the City Council chambers, if you would like to address the City Council on a non-agenda item. If you would like to comment on an agenda item, a speaker request form is not required. Public comments will be heard during the agenda item. Please submit the completed speaker request form to the City Clerk seated to the left of the speaker podium. All speakers will have 3 minutes to complete their comments. A countdown timer will appear on the screens located around the council chambers. All comments are to be directed to the City Council and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum. Due to the Brown Act, which is California's open meeting laws, only items listed on the agenda can be addressed by the City Council. The City Council is unable to respond to matters raised on non-agenda items. However, please be aware that your comments will be noted. The speaker's name will be called to speak at the appropriate time in the order that the forms are received. Thank you for your interest and participation in the Desert Hot Springs City Council meeting.
Good evening, everybody. Gerald, you ready? All right. We'll call to order the City of Desert Hot Springs regular meeting of the City Council, and the City Council serving as a successor agency to the former Redevelopment Agency Board for Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. This is our 6 p.m. regular session. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Betts,
Present.
Councilmember Gardner,
Present.
Councilmember Pai,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nunez,
Here.
Mayor Manis.
Present. We have a special guest today that's going to give the invocation. Elder Flo Smith, and Chief, you're not in charge of her right now. She is with the Word of Life Church, and she's going to give our invocation.
Hello, City Council. We just ask we go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you right now in the name of Jesus as like-minded believers on the things that you have for us. Lord, as it says in Jeremiah 29:7, that a city that prays for each other, we will also reap the benefits. Father, we come to you right now just asking that all of our leaders, dear Heavenly Father, come to you with emptiness so that you may fill them with what you may have for this city. This city, Desert Hot Springs, is like no other, Father. We are a city that teaches one, that builds one, so we can go out and create them. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Gardner, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we'll move to the City Attorney's report on closed session. Madam City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We do not have any reportable action.
Thank you. The approval of the agenda. At this time, the City Council may amend in the order of the agenda, approve the consent calendar, remove any items from the consent calendar for separate discussion. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on any item on the consent calendar? See nobody coming forth. Is there any council members that need to pull any items from the consent calendar?
Mr. Mayor, I suggest that we move item 8 to the beginning of the agenda, if we could do that.
I had already planned to do that, but thank you.
I heard you say you planned.
From the consent calendar, I want to pull 10 just for transparency.
Item number 10 is a request to be pulled. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mayor Pro Tem Nunez, second by Councilmember Gardner. This will include the approval of the agenda and the pulling of item 10 and the approval of the rest of the consent calendar. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
We'll now move to public comments. At this time, pursuant to the Brown Act, any person may comment on matters of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council not listed on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the City Council shall not take action on or discuss matters raised during public comment portion of the agenda that are not listed on the agenda. All comments are be directed to the City Council and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during public comments. I have one blue card. Is there anybody here to speak in public comments that are not on items on the agenda? You will need to fill one of these out and give it to the clerk. Mr. Moen.
Good evening, City Council. I'm Tom Moen, 44-year resident of Desert Hot Springs, and I was present at the dedication of Hot Springs Park. Our then Mayor, Jerry Pisha, our council members, Elizabeth Donnelly, and Gary Bosworth, and Kathy Ann Smith, and Doug Sherman were all present. And they were very proud of the $7 million that the city had spent for that. And it was a sad day for me when I saw the bulldozers come in and plow it down. I hope what's replacing it will be worth the expense. Another item, since I did mention Jerry Pisha as a mayor, he was a good friend of mine. And I want to tell you something that he told me. He was the very last person to serve a cup of coffee to President John F. Kennedy. We have some ties. And I know everyone's heard this before and some people might be getting bored, but Highway 62 at Pearson Boulevard is not safe. And I think we need to pester our state representatives, we need to pester the highway patrol, we need to pester the county of Riverside, etc. That we need to make that intersection safe. And as I've said before, GPS brings people coming from the west, heading east and heading to Joshua Tree, even if they're not going to Joshua Tree, brings them in on Pearson Boulevard. Therefore, we have a natural gateway to our city, and I think we should make a beautiful gateway there, and I'm going to keep on suggesting that we build a statue of Cabot Yerxa, at least 30 feet tall or taller, leading his burro Merry Christmas to Garnett to get water. And I'm sure it was a happy day when he discovered water, even though it was hot water, and later he discovered cold water on the other side of the fault. I think he's a worthy person to honor. And I want to again thank our city council for giving me this opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no other blue cards. Anybody like to speak public comments on items not on the agenda? See nobody coming forth. We're going to close public comments this time. We'll move to the city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. First, like to have Jeffrey Buckham, our Administrative Services Director, provide an update on financial highlights.
Good evening. So as of May 15th for fiscal year 22-23, our revenues are a little over $20 million, which is 60% of the amended budget, and our expenditures are over $25.4 million, which is at 76% of the budget. And that is my report.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Next, we'll have Nick Haker, our Public Works Director, provide us with Public Works updates.
Good evening. I have two Public Works project updates. The first one is Palm Drive North, and the second one is Reflection Park demo. Palm Drive North, the contractor has striped travel lanes and bike lanes. This picture shows the curbside parking and the bike lane, the travel lane, and the left turn lane. Green markings in the bike lanes are to notify the driver and the bicyclist that the path of travel could intersect. The green markings in the bike lane are at driveway approaches and at intersections to allow vehicles to cross over the bike lanes. All markings, lines, legends, and signs follow the Cal MUTCD and the Caltrans standards and specs. There are items that are still to be completed: the second coating of paint with glass reflective beads and the installation of reflective pavement markers. The intersection at 12th Street and Palm is now an active all-way stop. Reflection Park demo has started. The picture on the left shows the previous conditions. The picture on the right shows the demo and removal of the fountain and the backfilling of the hole from the fountain. The electrical panel is still active, and SCE is scheduled to come out this week to de-energize so it can be removed. The picture on the left shows the previous conditions. The picture on the right shows the removal of the wall in the fountain and the backfilling of the hole from the fountain. This project is still under construction. Once all items have been removed, the fence will be removed. That concludes my update.
Thank you, Nick. And finally, we'll have our Recreation and Community Services Director, Roberta Cernick, provide some robust updates on our recreation programming.
Yes, I have several updates for you tonight, so my presentation is a bit longer than usual. So we will be having a wellness open house at the Health and Wellness Center complex. I really want to educate our residents about all of the great programs that we have going on there. They can tour the aquatic center, our fitness center, the indoor gymnasium, and learn about all of the programming, and also meet the instructors that are teaching all of these great classes. And that is going to be on Friday, June 2nd from 5 to 7 p.m. Our parent and me toddler class has really taken off, so we have scheduled another one, and it's for this Friday, May 19th at 10:30, and they're going to be making funky frames, and they're going to be doing some sensory play after. And our summer camp program is getting ready to start, so registration will be opening on May 22nd. You can register online. The camp starts on June 12th and runs through August 4th. We have a full day option and a half day option, and the pricing includes breakfast and lunch. and that is for kids ages 7 through 17. And we're also starting a summer basketball camp. That's starting on July 3rd and will run through July 26th. It'll be held on Mondays and Wednesdays from 4 to 5, and that registration opens on June 19th, and you can also register online for that. The cost for that is $25. And we will be having a sound bath at our Health and Wellness Center. We have a Reiki instructor coming and on Saturday, May 27th from 10 to 11:30, and it is a donation-based sound bath. And this is a new program. It's a youth strength training and conditioning class. The classes will be held on Tuesday from 5 to 6 in our indoor gymnasium. And the classes will be starting on June 6th, and it's $10 per session. And this is really to help kids. We're such a big sports community, so the coach really helps kids get ready for football season, soccer season, any type of sports. And this is something that we put together thanks to Councilmember Gary Gardner for giving me this idea. It's getting really hot. So we are starting an indoor pickleball class. The classes will be held on Fridays from 9 to 10 a.m. Classes will be starting on June 9th. It is a 5-week session. And we also will be doing indoor pickleball court reservations. So members of the community can reserve a pickleball court for an hour on Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 to 11 or 11 to 12, and that is starting on June 5th and will run through September 27th. And you can reserve the courts online. And this will be our last outdoor pickleball session because things are getting really hot out there. So this one is on Saturdays. We had several members of our community wanting a pickleball class on the weekend. So this one's starting on June 10th, runs through July 8th, and it will be held at Wardman Park from 9 to 10 a.m. Our John Furby Aquatic Center is scheduled to open on Saturday, May 27th. The Aquatic Center has been out of service for several weeks. There's a part that is on order. It's a special part that has to be fabricated. I'm hoping it will be ready to open on May 27th, and if not, hopefully we'll be able to just push that out a week or two, but we have to get that part in before the pool can reopen. But the pool will be open Monday through Saturday, as in previous years. Our swim lessons, session 1 registration opens up on May 29th. The age ranges is from 6 months and then all the way to adults. It's $25 a session for a 4-week session, and the first session starts June 12th through July 5th. So we have a variety of different lessons that you can sign up for. And our dive-in movies will return this year. Really excited. We'll have 3 movies. They are free. So the first one will be on Saturday, June 24th, and we will be playing The Bad Guys, Encanto, and then Lightyear. Friday nights on Pearson. If you missed it last Friday, they will continue through June 9th. They are from 5 to 9 p.m. Lots of fun. We had a great turnout last Friday. Our TKB food truck will be joining our lineup this Friday. So if you did not make it out, hopefully you can make it out this Friday. We also have a trail cleanup day. We have partnered with the Living Desert to clean one of our local trails. That will be held this Saturday, May 20th from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. And it's along the Kim Nickel Trail. If you scan that QR code, it gives you directions to the trail. And we can't forget to download the Agents of Discovery app and take along our agent Milo with you. You can also do some fun activities while you're cleaning up the trail. And our Memorial Day ceremony is Monday, May 29th at 9 a.m. at Veterans Park. And finally, our fireworks spectacular will return again this year. It will be held on Saturday, June 1st at Mission Springs Park from 6 to 10 p.m. And fireworks will start promptly at 9:15. So we'll have music and food. It should be a lot of fun. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta, and thank you, Mayor and City Council. That concludes our updates.
Thank you. No, when people say there's nothing to do with Desert Hot Springs, stop it. All right, well done, staff. We'll start, I think I started that in last time, we'll start this in. Mr. Betts.
Thank you. Thanks for that report, Roberta. I tell you, we got that building you've taken over, and it's only been a couple of years now that we've started the first program, and we've got a rec program that rivals any other city. Just fabulous job there. What a rundown. On a less exciting front, I attended the Southern California Association of Governments annual conference and meeting. I was the city delegate. Lasted for 2 days. I did my city delegate duties well. We approved the budget for the year and also approved the minutes. There wasn't a lot for the city delegates to do this time. I also sit on the transportation committee up there, and, but it was mostly related to breakout sessions and meet and greets. It was a good time. It was very, probably one of the best conferences there I've been to. Also attended the Tour de Palm Springs Appreciation and Awards event. They had good things to say about Desert Hot Springs and the effort that we've made to accommodate that event, and I think all the cities were there. Sit on the Sunline Ad Hoc Committee, where we're working on hiring a new general manager. That hasn't been accomplished yet, but making progress. I do want to note that there's a sunrise service that's been implemented. It started out as a pilot project in Desert Edge, and this is an Uber Lyft type program where a lot of people are complaining, like the bus might go close to where I want to go, but getting from my house to the bus is a big chore or nearly impossible. Well, you've got now this option called Sunride. It's an app just like you would use for Uber or Lyft, and you just enter it in there and a car will come pick you up and give you a ride to the bus line. In some instances, the ride to the bus line is as close as gets you to the store anyhow, not even need to get on the bus, but don't cheat too much. Anyhow, it's a very good program. It's now expanding. Had a lot of people out towards the west side of the city, Mission Lakes Country Club, that area out in Mountain View, complaining that it was really hard for them to take the bus. Well, what they call a geofence for Sunride's now been expanded, so you should be able to make better use of the bus line. Attended the Energy and Environment Committee. There was some enthusiasm for changing the name. I went along with it. I'm not sure I like it, but the new name is now Energy and Sustainability. So if you're looking at the agenda for CVAG, it's Energy and Sustainability now. There was a very good presentation by Grid Alternatives, and they provide free solar to residents. They provided, I think, 34 solar installations in our city last year, and they announced that there's all kinds of funding opportunities. And unlike the other problem we've had with these, quote, solar providers, is this is all free. And people say, well, what's it cost me? It costs you nothing. It costs you, once you get the solar system in, it's little or nothing for the electricity use, and you don't have a solar panel payment. Now, what they announced was that there's all kinds of funding opening up, state and federal, and they said, and it's mostly for the Edison service area, which is us. So I'd really like to get together with staff on this, see if we can figure out what it takes. Now, one of the conditions is, if we're competing for this grant, is how much match you're going to make. But I really think the council should take a look at this, because we've got residents here who, some of them are income challenged, and this could mean the difference between their kids, going to soccer or whatever else, or paying a huge electric bill. And I really think it's a small buy-in, so maybe we can get them to come and make a presentation. But it was a really good presentation. You had all the, when the rest of the cities heard that we were the top, that we did the best job with Grid last year, they're all going, oh, well, what did we miss? So we did a good job with that one, and I think we keep that going. Let's see what else. Traveled to Big Bear. I wasn't expecting it to turn into this, but ended up having a meeting to discuss vacation rentals. They've been having significant impacts up there. Despite there was some exasperation on how it's changed the community, and what was really surprising to hear was people who had previously supported it are now changed their position and are trying to figure out ways to get it out of their community. They aren't hopeful, but anyhow, that was interesting. I would like to ask staff, if I could, I waded into there's a little bit of commotion going on regarding this beautiful new boulevard, north end of Palm Drive. And if you go and you look at that, we got, 2 miles of new two miles of new sidewalks. And I can remember years ago, a group of citizens got together and created a committee called Safe in 30. And what their idea was in 30 days, we're going to make a safe pathway for people to walk. Even if it's off on dirt, at least this will be a pathway to get them out of the lanes of traffic. And it was just a dream of all these people working on this program to have the kind of sidewalks that our Public Works has gotten for us on Palm Drive there. And then, there's been so much commotion going on about that online. Maybe you shouldn't listen to the social media, but it was a bit overwhelming. Could somebody explain to us why it is that we went from 2 lanes to 1? I mean, there were certain conditions of this grant, correct? Can you just briefly explain that so it's out there for everybody to understand this?
Sure, just real quick. The city applied for grant funding in its active transportation plan funding that the state is currently has a big program for. And the main objective of the program was to create alternative modes of transportation and bring safety into a corridor. This being our main corridor into the city, it qualified for funding. One of the ways that we reduce or we increase safety was to reduce speed. And one way to reduce speed was to calm traffic, and the traffic calming measure is to reduce the lane widths and create 1 lane instead of 2. You see on the freeway, the lanes are very wide, and more of a freeway when you go into residential, a little bit more narrower. So this project's intent was to narrow the lane widths, also removing 1 lane completely and turning it into a bike lane for pedestrians and for bicyclists. And then also adding streetlights, crosswalks, reflective pavement markers, reflective stop signs, and a new stop sign on Palm and 12 for safety and crossing for pedestrians and for vehicles. So it was all a combination of safety and alternative modes of transportation.
And how much was the total grant, approximately?
3.7 million.
So if we got 3.7 million for this, we could have said no, right?
Correct.
And then that would have just looked like it did before, as dangerous and everything else.
And it's a competitive grant. It was one of maybe 500 applications. So we were one of the states that actually got the project. So it's a competitive grant that we did go after.
Okay, so this was a good thing that when we were awarded this, but the design parameters are something that if we want the money for all the other improvements, that's what we have to live with.
Correct.
And the streetlights haven't gone in yet, right?
They haven't gone in yet.
They
will next, yes.
How long is that?
2 months, about 2 months out.
Okay, good. Mr. Mayor, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good to be back in the city again after taking care of some family business up north for a couple of weeks. It was interesting zooming in for a council meeting. I hadn't done that in a while. I continue to be amazed at the amount of programs. I'll echo what Councilmember Beth said at our rec center. Roberta, you guys are just knocking it out of the park. And as the mayor stole my line too. Nobody can say there's nothing to do in the city. There's a lot to do. It's a great job there. Wanted to congratulate three of our local spas: Osier, Palms Hot Spring, Good House, and the new Onsen Hotel and Spa, which was the old Ambassador Hotel, now reopened, and the Two Bunch Palms Resort. They were all featured in a New York Times article last week, and it was just kind of ironic because the title of the article was "Putting the Springs Back in Palm Springs," and it featured one spa in Palm Springs, the new one for the Agua Caliente, and then 5 out here. And after the article, halfway through the article, it says, "Oh, there's one in Palm Springs, but there's 5 in nearby Desert Hot Springs," and they have beautiful profiles of all of this. And that was in the New York Times weekend edition. You can't get much better coverage than that. So congratulations to them for having outstanding properties. Coachella Valley Mountains Conservancy approved a whole number of state-level grants to agencies across the desert to help develop ways to combat climate change and encourage younger people to explore careers in conservation and land management. And speaking of trails, Roberta mentioned it too. We have a trail cleanup project with the Living Desert volunteers this Saturday at the Kim Nickel Trailhead out in Desert Edge. We were just out there this week replacing the signs, which unfortunately got shot up. Along with my colleague, Mayor Pro Tem Nunez, we went to the first California Indian Nations College Fire Gala this last Friday, which is why I missed the Friday night on Pearson. We drove through it, and it looked like a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to going this weekend, and I'll let him fill you in on the other stuff. And lastly, the Mosquito Vector Control Board met, and we're going to have a very, very busy mosquito season this year, given all of the water that we've had. And so just a reminder, everybody from the Mosquito Control Board, to check your yard for pooled water where your sprinklers may leave some water, or in kids' toys, or old tires, or under the potted plants, the little trays under the potted plants. Anywhere there's standing water in your yard, you're going to breed mosquitoes. So go check those out, empty them out, make sure you wear repellent, and we will have the mosquito people come give a presentation, hopefully before we go on our hiatus for the summer. And that's all I've got.
Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Real quick, Roberta, I had a quick question on before I get started, I'm sorry. On the dental office that's there, is it still operating? Can we get an update? I don't know if I'm asking you to give an update, or staff can give an update.
Okay. So I can provide an update on that. So we actually just recently, the mayor, myself, and Danny met with Intercare and DAP, who actually has acquired Borrego Health. And so they have committed to us that they will continue to keep those services active in our community. And so at this point, it is still operational. And in the event that anything changes with the programming, DAP and Intercare have both given us the assurance that they will reach out and collaborate with the city. And all other services that Borrego is operating in the city will continue in light of the purchase during the bankruptcy proceedings.
Great. I just hope that we can get them to be collaborative with the rec center and be more proactive. I think this is great. Thank you. You're doing a great job. I want to echo what they have to say. It's doing a great job, and we've seen a transformation in the last 2 years. And I thank you for that. I had a busy 2 weeks. Stepped in for our mayor for the Junior ROTC Cadet Academy at Desert Hot Springs High School, awards and promotion. I didn't know how to do a speech, so thank you.
I told you maybe. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
But it was great to see, a lot of, it's kind of hard to inspire kids that are already inspired. So I really didn't know what to say. I'm used to, speaking to kids and uplifting them and doing that, but it's hard to say anything when they already have a goal. They already have set mind. So it's great to see it. It's great to be a part of. So thank you. I appreciate that. The next day we went to the Desert X closing ceremony. Again, I had to say a speech, so I'm like.
That's the backup.
So it was good to see the closing ceremony, and again, I was welcoming back the next year the year after this, and just let them know that we're open. We're open to the creativities, the arts, and especially to getting our youth involved in so many artistic different ways. So whatever we can do to collaborate, I just happen to mention in your words that we're here, we're ready, and we're hoping that Desert X will make us a home moving forward. As Council Member Gary Gardner mentioned, that we did and I kept getting the abbreviation wrong. It's College of California Indian Nations College, which is, I thought it was a great inaugural program, because this is a free college, 2-year college, undergrad. It's online and in campus in Palm Springs. So I think this is a great way for young students of Native American and indigenous to take part in and getting them ready for the next big move into the university. So it was great to be a part of, and I thank you for inviting me and letting me know and reminding me. So I really do appreciate that. I attended the CVAG Public Safety Committee board meeting on Zoom, and also we did go by the Friday on Pearson, which we heard went really, really well. My family, I couldn't go, but my family was there. One thing they did say is that we need more seating, because there's not enough seating. So that's always a good problem to have, and it's a busy night. I look forward to attending moving forward. So I'm hoping it becomes popular and it's an ongoing thing. I will attend tomorrow, be attending the CVEP Economic Department, Economic Partnership meeting on Zoom also. So I just want to see if there's anything that you guys want me to bring up. I know I never asked this in the past because I just wanted to see how CVEP has moved with the city of Desert Hot Springs. So I'm looking to see if we can collaborate more with the council to see if we can push them to start doing more things in our city with local businesses and grants, and even maybe perhaps bring the iHub here to the city. So reach out to me, let me know. I want to say National Public Works Week was great. I think our employees really do deserve it. I know they're out there in the summertime when it's hot. So they're always out there. So I really do appreciate them. I know a couple years I did a barbecue for them, so I'm hoping I can do this again this year for them. I just want to acknowledge Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, which is this month, Jewish American Heritage Month, which is this month. So we're looking forward to seeing if we can start celebrating the heritage if possible. So thank you very much. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Pai.
Councilmember Betts, doesn't Sunline also go west on Pearson? And that's something that someone's been wanting for a long time, so I thank you for that. May 5th, Mayor Pro Tem did do a speech for the ROTC, and the DHS Elks and the DHS Women's Club gave out scholarships. Also on May 6th, Mayor Pro Tem did another speech for Desert X, and I was there also, and now you know why I don't want to be mayor. On May 8th, Ophelia celebrated, it was our last session, and those who attended was Pastor Randa Ray, Candace Rose Tarrant, Roberta Centrix, and me. And we gave out pizza, ice cream, and sodas. And we asked the kids, instead of doing a regular session, we asked them, what do you want to know about us? And just to tell you, when we discuss the things with the girls, we keep it quiet, so I'm not going to tell you what they asked us about us, but we told them. Also, May 11th was the Scholarship Awards presentations, and DHS Women's Club also gave out scholarships again. And Nancy Wright was our chairman, Sylvia Roundtree, Sherry McDonald, Lucy Chapman, Shirley Bell, Sally Hedberg, and myself. And we gave out $26,000 in scholarships. The kids are going to UC Santa Barbara, COD, UCLA, UC Irvine, UC Monterey, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, UC Riverside, and CSU San Bernardino. One of the girls gave me an email, and she said, my name is, leave her name out, and I am one of the many seniors you interviewed at Desert Hot Springs High School. I'm emailing you today to thank you for the scholarship that was given to me from the DHS Women's Club, as well as the amazing words you and your fellow club members shared with me. Some of the kids they are going forward, but they really don't know themselves. And part of what I told them is that they are worth something. And one of them, there was one who wanted to become an engineer. And so I told her, we have an engineer, because she didn't know anything about it or how she could become an engineer. So I told her, we have an engineer here. Gave her my card, and I think this was the one, and I said, come on down and I'll introduce you to one. And many of them, because of their Hispanic descent, I told them, you need to come down to City Hall and I can introduce you to people that look like you. Now, one funny thing happened. We had only one male come up out of all of the, I had it down here. I think it was 19 scholarships. We had one male. And I'm bragging to him, and he wants to be a firefighter. And I said, oh, that's great. Guess what? Our mayor used to be a firefighter. And he really wants to, and I can introduce you to the mayor. And I just went on. And all of a sudden, when I decided to be quiet, he said, I know the mayor. So I left that alone. On May 12th, I did the...
Wait. Was that a good I know the mayor or?
Well, I was trying to just get the people out there, and he knew you. On May 19th, I did go to the Friday... I'm sorry. That's not here yet. May 12th, I did go to the Friday night party, and I yesterday had to go to Blythe. And a person came up to me and said, I had a really good time with you on Friday nights. You never know. On May 19th, I speak at Diversity, and I'm supposed to tell them everything you don't know about me. So if you really want to know, come there to Las Palmas on the 19th. Nicholas, by the way, did a great job. Dora and Daniel and other directors went to D.C., and Nicholas was in charge, and he did a good job. Also, this is National Police Week, and I want to thank you, and you who's here. Thank you for protecting me, and thank you for protecting all of our constituents. Mr. Mayor, that's it.
Great, thank you so much. Yes, Nick did a fantastic job. He gave everybody the week off, and everybody was happy. He did. Thank you, Nick, for stepping in while they were gone. And I just wanted to say thank you to our staff that went to Washington, D.C. We haven't done this in 4 years, pre-COVID, and we were all scheduled to go a couple weeks ago, but our flight got canceled, and I couldn't take the time off. The chief stepped in my spot, and staff went, and they did a fantastic job. I hear millions are coming back to the city. Also wanted to touch base and thank Mayor Pro Tem for stepping in. It's a tough gig sometimes as a mayor because you got so many events and then you got family. And so this last weekend, my daughter had softball on Friday, and on Saturday, my father-in-law had a milestone birthday. So I was not going to get out of that one. But that's what you have a Mayor Pro Tem for, to step in and do those things. I didn't want to tell him he actually had a speech because he wouldn't have gone. No, I'm joking. It's kind of hit and miss on some of these events. Sometimes they want you to shake hands. Other times they want you to shake hands and say things. So I thank you for stepping in. Let's see. There was a couple other things. We're getting close to the completion of the Senior Center extension. So I did have a question recently. We plan to have an event. We're planning that. Don't think there's anything on the books yet, but it's really close, I hear. So I wanted everybody, unless you have a date. Sure.
So correct, we have just recently completed the renovations at Carl May. We are in the final stages right now of actually finalizing the renewal contract with Mizell, because they will take over facilitating that space. So we anticipate that it will reopen at the new fiscal year when the new contract comes into play. They do need to do some recruitment, but we are getting very, very close and making some final furniture and fixture items complete, and then we'll be able to go.
Awesome. This is the old Carl May Center. We're going to be expanding the senior center services. So great. Looking forward to that. And maybe staff can have a meeting with Mr. Mullen. I know he's been up here talking about Highway 62. I know recently we received some information from Caltrans. It's conceptual, but there is some great strides that have been made for the last couple of years. We've been working on that to make some big strides in its government process as usual. But because of the hard work from our staff, they probably have a good update for you. And then just my comments on the new road project up here. A lot of people, good and bad comments. Obviously, if you read social media, I try to stay off it, but my wife tells me every once in a while. It really is a safety issue, and that's the reason it went down to one lane. And I know that people are frustrated sometimes because they cannot drive 70 miles an hour down Palm Drive now, and I'm sorry about that. I really am. Not really. I have to deal with Palm Drive from I-10 to Dillon Road. That's my pathway home from work 3 to 4 times a week, and it's crazy. So if we inconvenience some of you from driving 70 miles an hour down Palm Drive, I don't even think I want to say I'm sorry. But I do have a concern that I want staff to look into. I've seen it multiple times now that there are vehicles parking in the bike lanes because it's not designated as red or whatever we need to do to make that clear. We have, especially right up the street here, a couple blocks, the bike lane comes back in to the curb line, and we got to protect those bicyclists. We are doing everything we can to make the city safe, and over the last few years, we've received, I want to say, close to over $10 million in grant funding for Palm Drive all the way from Camino Aventura up all the way to Mission Lakes, and so we've got to make sure we keep that safe. I did give a tour to the Cabot Yerxa Elementary School. There was about, how many, 10 students? I forgot to count, but there was about 10 students. And so we were, Roberta and I were able to give them a tour. We let them play city council. They were fighting over Jan's seat for some reason. I don't know, it was the furthest one away. Yeah, they got to be up here. I had some of them make public comments, then we gave them a full tour of City Hall. So it was fun to do that at their age and see how their concerns, but let alone get them into government and see that how the city really works. You hear, I'm sure a lot of kids hear from their parents, that dang city council, they didn't do this, or that city hall didn't do that. But it gives them a good perspective. So it was fun to do that. And then I did attend the Riverside County Transportation Commission as the representative from Desert Hot Springs. They're having 2 meetings in the Coachella Valley for the next few years to see how that goes. So the Coachella Valley doesn't have to travel all the way to Riverside each time, plus Blythe travels all the way to Riverside once a month. So with the location, the Coachella Valley Association of Governments in Palm Desert, it was easier for a lot of us to meet there. There was 2 main items on the agenda, van pool subsidy increase. So if you do rideshare and you take those vans, there's a subsidy that is given to you to do that. So it pays for the vehicle lease and all the other stuff. They're increasing that as times have caused that to happen. And rideshare is still big. So if you do travel far away, meaning outside the Coachella Valley, there are van pool opportunities for you. The first part of the process for the budget, the way that the commission does their budget is they open it in a public hearing, they explain it, and they let it sit until the following meeting so public comments can be given if they choose to, and then it'll be voted on in the June meeting. Just to put it in perspective, this year's budget is recommended to be $102 billion in revenue and $1.19 billion in expenditures. Yes, it's going to be upside down a little bit. So there's about a $160 billion deficit, but due to the fund balance being $1.3 billion, they're able to offset that deficit and not have to pull back from certain services. So that Riverside County Transportation Commission, all the money from the state comes to the county, and then every city has it, and all 5 supervisional districts have a seat on the board, and we're able to funnel that money where it needs to go. For road improvements and major highways and stuff like that. A lot of focus on the western counties and the toll lanes and the 15 and the southwestern district, but there's a lot of discussion about, again, starting on the Banning Pass area where it really crunches up. So a lot of movement there, and we'll see how things go in this next cycle. And that's all I have to report on. Looks like we're all a little lengthy tonight, but we need to get to business, and I've been requested by Ms. Pye to move item 8 up. And so with that, I'm going to open the administrative items, which is in item number 8, which is a resolution to recognize, acknowledge, and observe Juneteenth as a public holiday. Mr. Buckheim.
Yes, thank you. So June 19th is known as Juneteenth National Independence Day, or just Juneteenth. It is celebrated annually as a historical and memorable tribute to our country's African American heritage. Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery. It is an important opportunity to celebrate the achievements and contributions African Americans have made and continue to make within our city and across the nation. Juneteenth has been designated an official holiday by the federal and state governments. Its adoption of this resolution would recognize Juneteenth as an official city holiday. Staff recommends adopting the resolution recognizing Juneteenth as an official holiday for the city.
Thank you for the report. Bless you out there. With that said, Councilmember Pye has stepped on the dais and asked to make public comments, and I'm going to open up public comments and allow her to make her comments first. Anyone that would like to make comments behind her may come up. You'll have 3 minutes. to make your comments. Just state your name and your 3 minutes will begin. The timer will be up on the screen.
Mr. Mayor, can you remind her she has 3 minutes?
I'm gonna give her a little leeway because I'm not gonna get in trouble by Miss Pye. And then I've got Flo to back her up, and then I've got my neighbor Jarvis back there. I'm not stopping any of them. Go ahead, Miss Pye.
Okay. My name is Jan Pye, and I'm a constituent, and I want to thank you, and particularly her, for putting this holiday. It's emotional for me. The proclamation says that we found out 2 years later. That's too long. And it's too long now. It's not your fault, but it's too long now. But I am glad that the constituents allowed me to sit there when I make a motion on this today. That's a big deal to me. And I want to thank you, and I want to thank you and anybody else that has something to do with it. Because, as you said, Desert Hot Springs is serious about its constituents, and I'm proud to be here. Go ahead. You, go.
Thank you. As a longtime resident of Desert Hot Springs, you got me beat 44 years. I'm about 38, 39. But I think it was the best move for my family from Palm Springs to Desert Hot Springs. Growing up here, participating in T-ball, the Boys and Girls Club, and different activities, going to Julius Corsini. Yeah, I'm a Coyote. And just seeing the change in our city. It's a positive change. And it's been a long time coming for our city to see these things, and to see now looking at the council and seeing diversity here. With the people that work here, seeing the diversity here within the people that work here as well. So Desert Hot Springs, and I'm like Jan, it's emotional for me being a resident here, and to see us being one of the first couple of cities in the valley making this step to make Juneteenth a national holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. And one of my favorite pastors.
Yes, sir. I am your pastor, so I have to be that. Pastor Jerry Johnson from Lily of the Valley Church, and thank you again for making this momentous holiday, a great holiday for many. I think I want to make sure that I heard you read about the holiday itself, but it also says, I think it's a paid holiday for city employees. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't hear that part. I wanted to make sure that they understood that. Yeah. Give me a hand. Yes, I think it was in 1865 in Galveston, Texas. It was 250,000 slaves that were freed. And I'm always glad to be part of a pace setter. And since I've moved here to, the church has moved here to Desert Hot Springs has continued to grow and be innovative and be a pace setter in the things that it do in this valley. And so we just hope that others also mimic what the city is doing. Can I just be kind of blunt? You gave the preacher the mic, so can I be kind of blunt? There were many negative things that were said about Desert Hot Springs, and I want those that are watching and those that are paying attention to now know that those negative things have now been put behind us, and we are now moving forward to not only just the 21st century, but into the 22nd century, and that we have become a community that have embraced all, and to let even our country know that we do work together, and in working together there can be peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any other public comments? Mr. Moen?
Tom Moen, 44-year resident of Desert Hot Springs. I want to commend our city for acting on Juneteenth. It's been a national holiday for 2 years already. So I'm glad we're coming into line with that. And speaking of Desert Hot Springs, I have always been proud of being a resident of Desert Hot Springs. This is a fine city. I've had interactions with many other cities and organizations in this valley, and I'm proud to live in Desert Hot Springs. It's a good place. We have better weather than the rest of the valley. We have first dibs at the water coming through to the rest of the valley. But I really want to thank our city council for stepping forward and making Juneteenth an official holiday of this city. It's very important. Those poor folks were held an extra 2 years in bondage. And 1 day in bondage is 1 day too many. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have anybody else who would like to speak in public comments? This will be the final opportunity. I will close public comments and we'll go to council member remarks before I take a motion. I'd just like to start off with, I'm a little embarrassed it took us so long to get here, but I'm glad we're here. And thank you to staff for bringing it forth. My employer made this a holiday last year, and I don't know why it didn't click with me to get this going here sooner. Prompted a couple thoughts. Whenever we have a holiday, I always quiz my kids. And I always say, I know you're glad to sleep in the day till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but what is today actually about? And a lot of times they can't, they don't know. And so it gives us an opportunity as parents to be able to give our kids a little more education. And I think this is a great opportunity for that. I think, a lot of people talk about Cinco de Mayo and they think it's something, a whole different holiday than what it really is for our Mexican heritage. And then you talk about just different holidays. And the one that comes to mind a lot is Memorial Day. And I recently was sitting, I'm not going to say where I was, but I wasn't here in Desert Hot Springs. And I had a couple people talking about the holiday that's coming up. And they said, well, it's Labor Day? It's Memorial Day? Something like that. Who cares? We get a 3-day holiday. And again, it brought forth that feeling like you need to know what those holidays are truly about. And you need to know why you're getting that day off of work without pay. It's to reflect a little bit on what it's about. So I'm fully in support of this. And the city of Desert Hot Springs last year, I was able to report that a third-party study was done by the Coachella Valley, CVEP. Was that right? Coachella Valley Economic Partnership. I did it. I was going to do it right. And we were reported to be the most diverse city in the Coachella Valley. And I think that holds a lot here. And if you see the people that come here each and every day to do business, you know why. So with that, I'm going to truly support this. If you want to make comments, I see nobody in the speaker queue, but I'm assuming people want to make comments. Push the button. Anyone wants to do it, push the button. We're going to try to. Did you push the button? It's the one that says request to speak. Nope, the one that says request to speak. All right, Mr. Nunez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can't wait to join the festivities as soon as we start having a Juneteenth event. So I'm hoping that, I'd be more than happy to help out in any planning or committee or whatever. So I'd be more than happy to do that. The only thing left to say is, hoping the last thing we can do is get Jarvis on part of our rec team. That'd be complete to get him from Palm Springs over here. So
he's got a good gig over there, but I keep trying, man. Mr. Gardner. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Betts.
Well, we got the Q thing working,
Yeah.
so isn't that amazing? There's talk of it being a couple years late getting this done. Progress sometimes doesn't move that quickly. But, if my math is correct, it's about 158 years ago is what we're celebrating. So maybe that's even way too late. But, at least that move was made, and we just keep making progress towards that goal. And I am really proud to be a part of this city. My wife and I moved here 20 years ago. It's the first thing we noticed is the house we bought in Rancho Del Oro is, so wow, we could have a heck of a potluck party here, and we did. And it's a potluck party from all over the world. And every culture and every race is there in that community. And it's one of the really nice things about Desert Hot Springs. It reminds me of Toronto, which is a very, I forget the word for it, but everybody's there in Toronto, and everybody gets along. And I think that's what I see here in Desert Hot Springs. So I couldn't be more pleased to have this on the agenda and to make this proclamation.
Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll just echo what others have said. And it is sad, a little bit sad that we're a little late in this, but when the federal government declares a holiday, we all kind of assume that it's declared.
Yeah.
So there's anything we need to do. So apologies for the lateness on this one. And it's interesting to see how how it has all come about on not only on a federal level, but here. But I remember learning about Juneteenth way back 40 years ago when I was in college in an African American histories class, and that was when I first heard about it. And it's interesting that it's taken this long to become fully recognized, and it's long overdue. And I'm really proud of our city for stepping up and doing this, being one of the first to do it. And it has a very special meaning on another front too. Many of you know my partner Eric is African American. His father's birthday is June 19th, so we celebrate it twice. And with that, I'll have to make a motion.
Nope. Have someone else to speak, and I would like her to make the motion. Ms. Pye.
Yes, I'm going to make the motion, but I wanted to say that I didn't do this. City did this. And I'm going to go to my neighborhood. It's great to be recognized. I make the motion.
I'll second it.
Can you put it up on the screen?
Jan's not getting it.
Roll call vote, Mr. Mayor.
She's trying to get hers to work on the screen. There, did it go? There it goes. Please vote. Ms. Pye, yours just not working tonight?
I'm trying to press 4.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Now, if you're really bored, we got a lot of business to hang out for. All right, we're going to move back to public hearings, and our first item on the public hearing is item number 2, an urgency interim ordinance of the City Council of the City of Desert Hot Springs adopting a moratorium on the issue of any license, permit, or entitlement that is a use other than the ones listed in the ordinance as Exhibit A for any business located in the subject area near downtowns, solely within the zoning district of CG, which is Commercial General Zone, specifically bounded by First Street to the north, Tacoma Avenue to the south, Cactus Drive to the east, and Choya Drive to the west subject area. Mr. Clark, is this going to be you? All right. Do you have any recusal on that, Mr. Betts, or is that far enough away from the... Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you very much. A little bit of background on this item. Certain land uses permitted in the commercially zoned areas are incompatible with the vision of downtown as described in the general plan, such as the goals that call for a vibrant, engaging, and attractive downtown, and policies that promote activities, events, land uses, and development projects that enhance the vitality and vibrancy of downtown. And those land uses are identified in the commercial district's land use tables, Exhibit A. Previously, you voted for moratorium in the commercial downtown zoning district, just to the east, that is bounded by First, Buena Vista, Mesquite, and Cactus. In essence, this current motion extends that westward to Choya, again bounded by Acoma, Cactus, Choya, and let's see, First Street. Only applies to the general commercial zoned areas within that area. So if approved, the proposed ordinance would create a temporary suspension in the processing of any incomplete application or the approval of any permit, entitlement, or license within the subject area versus those uses that are described in Exhibit A to the ordinance. This moratorium provides time for the land uses listed in Title 17 of the zoning code to be reviewed and amendment. And I will tell you that that effort has begun. We started May 9th with the Planning Commission and a very comprehensive review of Title 17, and some of those chapters will be coming to you soon. So staff does recommend approval of the urgency interim ordinance as stated before for the zone zoning district of commercial general as specified by the boundaries. Be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll entertain any questions of staff from the city council.
I have one, Mr. Mayor.
I'll probably turn this off here. Go ahead.
Just a quick question. So currently, do we have any businesses that are going to be affected by the moratorium as of today?
We do not.
Or in the queue in the permitting process?
We do not.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Pye?
Is that the report?
Yes, this is that item. And so to answer, let me give a little context. So Councilmember Pai had reached out because within the staff report, it does mention that at the conclusion of this, the council would need to adopt a report that says that these issues no longer are there. And so that would come at a later date. But yes, this is that item. And so it's something that we would draft and bring forward to you similar to this, where you guys would review it and adopt it.
So you're not bringing it now? You're going.
Correct. It would come much later in the process.
All right, all right.
I have nobody else in the queue, so we'll move to opening the public hearing. Okay, please try to use the queue if you guys can.
I didn't get to it. I can do it now. I just
No, go ahead.
popped in my head to have a question. So there was just some comment here that this is bringing it forward, or is this acting on it now?
Currently, what's before the city council is an urgency ordinance. It lasts only 45 days unless extended. So if the city council were to adopt this ordinance, it lasts 45 days. What we have done in the past on several occasions is we will agendize it for an extension. Extensions, if passed, last 22 months and 15 days, making the total a 2-year moratorium. But currently, what's before you is just for 45 days.
Okay, so this isn't agendizing for the purpose of putting it on a future agenda. It is on the agenda.
That's correct.
And we didn't have 2 council members bring it forward and decide to put this on. Staff is driving this.
Yes, and just to provide a little context, sorry, Travis, but we previously brought forward an urgency item of this nature several months back in January, for the downtown. In reviewing everything, now that we are actually working on a proper downtown plan, Travis actually brought it to our attention, and Sean, in reviewing things, that the moratorium that we previously brought forward did not encompass the entire downtown area. It only ran from Cactus to, I believe it's Acatoo or Mesquite. And so we had missed an entire section in that previous ordinance. And so this is essentially piggybacking on the previous moratorium, which would then be from Cactus to the west to Cholla. So it would encompass the entire downtown. And so that's what's before you tonight.
I don't have more questions. I'll have comments later. Thank you.
I will now open the public hearing, and I will take any testimony in favor, any testimony opposed, or any testimony in neutral position. You may come forward. I see nobody stepping forward to the podium. I'm going to close the public hearing at this time, and we'll go back to city council discussion, questions, and or a motion. Do I have anybody in the queue? Mr. Betts, you're back in the queue. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of these type of things. I'm thinking about the city of Kaipa, and it's really super successful downtown project they have there. And if you take a drive up that boulevard, you're going to see businesses that we're not allowing. Car repair. Somebody goes to get their car worked on. Well, they can either give me a ride and pick me up, and I'll wait at home while my car's getting repaired, or I'll just drive down there, and while I'm getting my car repaired, I'm going to go next door to the sandwich shop or somewhere else and do some shopping. And I think some of the activity that we exclude from the downtown area is actually good activity, because I don't think you can have enough of what you are trying to exclusively provide in that zone to be viable. Now, you wouldn't want it all to be offices, but you also, you're excluding grocery stores, a nursery and garden center. These are all things that I think are active, viable businesses in a downtown setting. You may have a dance school somebody wants to put in, and that's not allowed because that's instructional. Some of it I think you could handle by zoning. You've got some things that look like industrial items here to me that I might be willing to say, okay, that doesn't have a place, but I've just watched so many times that we have told businesses no, particularly in this section. I mean, Casablanca had a heck of a time trying to expand, but I guess they fit. But we had somebody who wanted to grow and develop a party rental, and they were told no. And granted, we have a sandwich shop there now, but for years, that business didn't grow and wasn't active. They could be providing all the party rentals for us downtown. I just don't think we're in a position to be chasing a lot of businesses out of town. We should just say whatever goes and comes in there is fine with a few exceptions, and there's just way too many exceptions in this list. I'm not going to read through all of it. I generally don't support this type of planning. I've watched buildings that the city bought, the RDA, and wanted certain types of businesses to go in there. And people come and say, well, geez, are those buildings for rent? And they went and checked on it and said, well, they told me they didn't want me there. So the buildings have sat empty for years. And I remember Delinda, who used to have Glossy, she'd say, every time you guys renovate or restrict what can go downtown, we get less of it and we never get more. So I'm not in favor of this type of thing. I don't think we're good enough at trying to predict what kind of businesses will come, that they will come, and it's too restrictive. So I won't go on any further. I can bring this up again in 45 days and be a little more detailed in my comments, but I just don't think this is a good idea for, it's not going to work.
Ms. Pye.
I'm going to respectfully disagree. We don't have a downtown. Friday night was the first thing that we've done since Christmas. And what we're doing is, well, you should know, is a walkable property where going, I'm frustrated.
Take your time.
It's a walkable property, and it's a definition of a downtown. We don't have a downtown, and Friday night started the downtown, and we need to continue that. And with respect, even though we didn't have enough seats, that was the only problem. And we need a downtown. I was going to make a motion, but you go ahead.
Mr. Nunez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Looking at this, I totally agree we need to expand it. There's no doubt that we need to expand it, but looking under the retail uses, I think there's maybe some discussion we need to have there, because when I go to downtowns like in Temecula, Santa Ana, there's some of the downtowns there that do have like these. There was one actually, it was a funky little artsy nursery and garden, and so they sold all kinds of weird plants, I would say, but it really put a tie-in to the downtown area. So there might be a double look at the retail uses, because I do believe we need a convenience store. If it don't sell alcohol, it's fine, but a little convenience store might be caterable to candies and sodas and whatnot to little kids. So maybe this is something just in this topic, because the other topics I don't have an issue with, but maybe this retail use we can overlook and look over it twice. I'm okay to do that.
Mr. Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I share your concern, Mayor Pro Tem, but I'm also thinking that with 45 days, we can actually do some more finessing on this. So if we pass this today, it gives us some time to really put some extra thought into that, because I agree with you about, funky little nurseries and weird plants and some other fun stuff. We could really, yes. The ones that bite me whenever I try to trim them in my yard, and I have scars to prove it. But no, I think this is a wise extension of the moratorium that we put on 3 months ago. And it makes sense to push this down the street a little bit further. So I'm in favor of it, but I also want us to really take a good hard look at tweaking some of these things in there that are in there before we extend it further or make it permanent.
And if I can add to that section is the vehicle rental. I don't know if is that considered like bicycles if we want to rent out bicycles or scooters?
Okay.
So, if Bird decides to come to town, and those kind of things. So, yeah, I think it deserves a good hard look, but I think this is a way to push pause momentarily while we do that good hard look.
I want to make some comments. I got a second round, looks like. I'm supportive of it. I was going to mention those exact words, is that 45 days isn't a long time, and we can actually massage that list. If anyone's concerned, you have your meetings weekly with the city manager's office. It could be a great opportunity to bring Travis in and say, these are things that we think that could fit in the downtown. But I do think this is important. We've been talking about a downtown since I was elected in 2007. We started with this extravagant vortex plan that was going to be $50 million, and who knows what the cost would be today. And redevelopment was pulled out from under us, obviously, with the state taking it back. So we haven't had a chance to really plan anything, and a couple of years ago we started talking about where we want to plan. And so starting with the block and starting with these events and doing those types of things is really going to make our downtown something, but we've got to get through this planning process. And in the meantime, you do need to put a hold on some things so that we really do put together what Ms. Pye was saying, a walkable district that families and visitors will want to go to. So what is that? And we're starting to really plan that. So I think this is a first good step. And again, 45 days give us enough time to massage that list a little bit on things that we've seen when we've traveled, as Mayor Pro Tem said, in Temecula and other areas. So maybe that'll come about. So I'm in support of it. Mr. Betts.
Yeah, conversation's good. I like what I'm hearing about not considering this list final. If you could put that on.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, if you like, from what I could see, it's on page 21 of 496 of your agenda. The city council, if it would like to do so, can actually amend it right now.
I think that's a huge conversation to get into right now.
Okay.
I would suggest not to go
Bringing
down
it back.
that rabbit hole right now, because I think each of us would like to spend time and be able to look at the list and not have to debate it up here today.
Can I continue my comments?
As soon as, yes, you may.
Thank you. So anyhow, I agree with you that some time to look at this would be good. We're not going to be horse trading here, but the dais on something this complicated. I have a question. I see AUP, TUP, temporary use permit. AUP is what?
Administrative use permit.
Administrative use permit. And so a farmer's market needs a temporary use permit. Some of this, so is that going to involve them having to come in and do an application? $175, like was talked about at the Planning Commission. And, I really enjoyed the Planning Commission conversation on this. They made some real good sense. I guess that's coming to us as a recommendation. So I'd be happy to see that when it gets here. But I think some of this stuff can have some parameters around it. Decide in advance what the rules are for for example, farmer's market, which seems to fit, and say, as long as they fit those parameters, fine. You don't need to go to all this trouble. I know we'd love to get everybody come to us an application and all this stuff, but I just, a CUP for something that's already should just be designed in by right. That's the purpose of this plan, is to set something up with, this is what we want to be here, and as long as they move in with that. I mean, as somebody who's got a watch repair, got to come in and get a conditional use permit, that's a normal downtown business. We ran into this with Quick Quack Car Wash. To me, that would seem to be a proper downtown business, but it wasn't. We had to go get back and go through 90 days of public hearings and everything else. So let's take care of this all at once. So whatever the list ends up being, if somebody wants to come in here and put in a recording studio, they don't need an AUP, whatever, pick one. I don't have time to go over this right now. But we need to look at that subject there. Not everybody should have to come in a permit to go open up a store. Remember when I went to Palm Desert?
So are we off track?
No, we're not, because it says TUP, AUP, CUP.
No, I understand that, what you're saying, but you're getting into an ordinance that needs to be changed, and this is not about that. This is about a moratorium.
So what I'm suggesting is...
I totally understand what you're suggesting, and I think you need to bring it to staff's attention so that we can bring it back for full discussion on that.
Okay, well, I'll end on that point here, on your note here, but for the council's ears, we need to really take a look at how much are we requiring, and the planning commission took this issue up, and we have it here before us now. So when this comes back in 45 days, I would like the council to also weigh in on that over the next 45 days of.
See if it fits the item, but I think you're off track. But
Well,
we'll see. We'll
it's
see if
right
we
there
can-
on my agenda.
I
Let me ask
understand
staff.
there's words on stuff. I'm
Let
not
me ask staff
debating
right
you.
now.
I'm not debating you.
I
All I'm
didn't say
saying
word, but
is,
let's find out.
Russell,
I'll just find out.
Okay,
Is
can you give me a
AUP
second to
mean-
ask the
Is that the
question?
suggestion in this ordinance that the AUP for a vehicle charging station needs to have an administrative use permit?
So that's what's on the use table, but that's not the item before you guys tonight. So this is just a duplication of the use table that says what current permits are in order. I should say the whole idea of a moratorium in the downtown in particular is to stop all of these businesses coming in until we can lay out a plan for the downtown. And that's exactly what we're asking for, is a pause on what's going there. We have had the downtown committee come together. We had the kids come in from the college. And so the next step would be to do a specific plan with collaboration from the council to determine what we want downtown.
which has nothing to do with the uses of the businesses, and that's the reason I'm stopping you, because as the chair of the meeting, I got to make sure we stay on track before the city attorney stops me. So what I'm saying is you're not wrong on asking the question to have a discussion on that. What you're doing is you're talking over staff and me trying to make a point on what you want when it's not part of the item. So I ask you to respect the fact that I've asked you to get back on track about the moratorium so we can move forward.
Okay, I'm on the track of the moratorium. We understand we got 45 days to consider this.
Correct.
And I'm ready to move forward, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Now, may I have a motion? I have nobody else in the queue.
I move the temporary moratorium.
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Please vote.
Motion passes with Councilmember Betts opposed. This is an urgency interim ordinance of the City Council of the City of Desert Hot Springs adopting,
All right.
adopting a moratorium,
Sorry,
sorry,
I know you read this.
on the issuance of any license, permit, or entitlement that is a use other than the ones listed in this ordinance as Exhibit A for any business located in the subject area near downtown solely within the zoning district of Commercial General Zone, specifically bounded by First Street to the north, Tacoma Avenue to the south, Cactus Drive to the east, and Cholla Drive to the west. The urgency interim ordinance goes into effect immediately.
Thank you very much. We'll move back to the administrative calendar. Item number 3 is the auditing services professional agreement. Mr. Buckheim.
Yes, thank you. So the Poon Group has been the city's independent auditor for several years, and the firm has been a very good resource for the city, and staff would like to continue the relationship. The Poon Group provides the annual audited financial report, housing compliance report, utility users tax audit, transient occupancy tax audit, and other reports. So staff recommends approval of a new 3-year contract with 2 optional 1-year extensions with the Poon Group.
I'll open up to public comments. Is there anybody that would like to make any public comments? See nobody coming forth. We'll close public comments. Did this go out for a proposal?
No, it did not.
Under our financial policies, isn't it required to?
It is not. Professional
No.
services agreements do not have to go out for proposal.
For this amount of money? Wow. Okay. I'll get back to screen here. Request to speak, Mr. Betts.
I think you make a good point. Every other board or commission where I serve for auditing services come before us. It goes out to proposal. This isn't a renewal. This is a brand-new contract for 3 years, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then there's 1-year extensions for a total of 5 years. And I think generally an accepted rule is no matter how much you like an auditor or the auditing company, is you change them up every once in a while. Usually it's every 5 years. Pun's been with us for a while. I like them. They're very good. I'd be willing to continue with them, but I would really like to examine this issue a little further on whether or not this should be going out to bid, and also what is our policy on changing auditors. The idea is that a new auditor comes in and gets a fresh look. It's pretty standard practice, I think, to change them up every 5 years. So I would like those items to be studied. Is this something that we can continue, Mr. Mayor?
I don't know. What's your timeline on getting the services started?
Well, so we'll need to get the services started in June, beginning with the interim audit. A lot of times when a city continues a contract with an audit firm, like doing such as this, they will actually bring in different audit staff as a different pair of eyes. They'll have a different audit manager, usually keep the same partner, but they'll have different audit staff that will have to go, they'll basically have a different set of eyes, not used to the city's reports and financials.
I just have to make some comments, and as much as I'm a real big supporter of all of you and everything you guys do, this one I'm having a hard time with. I really am. I think maybe tonight we can, because you need to get through your audit and start your audits, maybe we give a 1-year extension and go out for a proposal. But I believe I made this comment last time that I would like to see proposals on this. I think one of the most important things for this city is to make sure that we're in the proper place and we never get back to where we were in 2012. And to have the proper auditing firm doesn't mean it isn't Poon, because they do a good job, but not giving the opportunity to anybody else out there for to bid on this contract and just move forward with them. Probably out of convenience, because we are very busy, and I get that. It's hard for me to do. It's such a big contract, and again, and I'll be honest, the first time that Poon took over this, they were in the midst of a really bad place we were at, and I was not total support at that time because the way they presented themselves, but they took my comments in order, and they received our contracts going forward, and they've done a good job, and I don't have a problem with that. But it's just hard to award someone a 5-year contract or a 3-year with 2 1-year extensions for this amount of money without giving the opportunity to anybody else.
Let's make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I got some more. Oh, I'm sorry. I do have Mr. Betts is in the queue, and I think others.
Well,
are
I can
coming in.
wait.
Oh, okay. Mr. Nunez?
I'll just echo your comments, Mr. Mayor. I mean, this is the first time I've seen it, and I'm like a little surprised. Maybe we can come up with a new contract where it's not as long, and maybe the services are spread out through different companies. That way we can look at other companies. But I'm willing to entertain any, not necessarily delays, but just hold it on for another.
Mr. Gardner?
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Buckheim, I recognize we've got to get moving on this. Is a 1-year, is the 3-year proposal you gave us with the 2-year extension negotiated to the point that if we were to cut that back to a 1-year, you'd have to go back and renegotiate everything with them, or
No,
would that
if we want to just do a 1-year contract, the Poon Group would be fine with that and go out for RFP next year. We can, so it wouldn't require us to renegotiate.
So, but that would, if we were to do that, then if we gave the 1-year one now, you'd be able to get the audits going for this year, and then next year send out for so I don't know, I can go along with that if we don't have to renegotiate. If doing that isn't going to cause an issue with where they're going to say, no, we won't take a 1-year, and then you're stuck without an auditor.
Ms. Pye?
Is fiduciary responsible for us to do what the mayor is asking for? And so on with that, I do know that many of the cities on page 17, well, starting with that, are more than 10 years. But I still think we need to be, at least show that we're fiduciary responsible.
Mr. Betts?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion, if I might, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
For a 1-year extension of the contract with the Poon Group, with instructions to staff to prepare an RFP for presentation in a timely manner for the council consideration a year from now, and that staff also come back with a policy recommendation on how often auditing services should be changed up, even if we love the auditors that we have.
All right, do I have a second to his motion? I'll second your motion. You're going to have to put it on the screen. Any other discussion? Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, move to item number 4, which is landscaping and lighting maintenance district number 1, intention proceedings for the levy and collection of assessments. Now, what I'm going to do is we have 1, 2, 3 items, and I'm going to announce all 3 items. We're going to draw straws between myself, Mr. Betts, and Mr. Nunez, because we all live within some of these districts. Mr. Gardner has done the actual measurements. He made Danny go out there with a tape measure. No, he's done the measurements, and he does not have a conflict, and Ms. Pye does not have a conflict in this one.
Is the first one citywide?
The first one is Zone A and B, which is citywide, but I just thought if we just did them all.
I'll agree with you.
Okay, so item number 4, bless you, bless you, bless you. Item number 4 is the landscaping and lighting maintenance district number 1, intention proceedings for the levy and collection of assessments. Number 5 is a landscape and lighting maintenance district number 2, intention levying for the proceedings for the levy and collection of assessments. And item number 6 is the drainage assessment district number 1, intention proceedings for the levy and collection of assessments.
Just a quick comment.
Yes.
In case I have to recuse. This is just to go out and do the study. This is not to actually assess these amounts, correct?
Staff, I just want to make sure.
No, this is not, this is the intention to do a resolution to assess and collect these amounts and to approve of the engineer's report.
So they're going to go out, we're approving going out and studying it, getting all ready, coming back with a recommendation of the council that we will approve or deny later.
No, there won't be a study. We have Charmaine and Nadia here, but no, there isn't a study. This is an intention of, this is what the city wants to do. We levy these levy and collect these assessments. And so it starts, the first part of the process is a resolution of intention, and then also adoption of the engineer's report, which was already the study, which is already saying this is how much we could be collecting in assessments, this is how much each district or each zone is going to cost for those repairs and maintenance for the next fiscal year.
The last meeting was the one where you did the putting it on the agenda.
Thank you. I'm asking these questions for the public's sake.
Short straw or long straw?
Long straw.
Long straw stays or goes?
I think the long, what do you think, Joe?
Stays.
Long straw stays. Got it.
I'm out of here.
Try to take a break. Mr. Betts and Mr. Nunez will be recusing themselves. All right, we'll start with item number 4. Mr. Buckheim, actually, can you give a report on all of them, or do you need to do them separately?
I can do a report on all of them altogether.
Is the council okay with having a report on all of them, and then we can take all 3 items at the same time? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so these are, the city levies an annual assessment on all the properties within all the properties within the city limits for the citywide district, landscaping maintenance district, for the landscaping maintenance district 2 that has 15 zones consisting of over 1,987 properties, and the drainage assessment district has 14 zones with 1,351 accessible parcels. These revenues are used to do the repair and maintenance for sidewalks, landscaping, lighting, and basically any other facilities, either city-owned facilities or facilities in that area. The first part of this process is to adopt a resolution of intent to do the collection, the assessment and collection of the levy and assessment of the collection of the assessments, and then also adopt the engineer's report. For the citywide LMD of the 13,800 accessible parcels, that should generate over $571,000 in revenue. The cost for that district will be over, for next fiscal year, will be over $2.2 million, which will require a $1.6 million transfer from the general fund. For the lighting and landscaping maintenance district 2, the estimated amount of levies would be $335,000, and then for the drainage assessments district, the estimated amount of levies would be over $220,000. So staff recommends the adoption of the resolution of intent and the adoption of the resolution approving the engineer's reports for the citywide lighting landscaping district number 1, landscaping lighting district number 2, and the drainage assessment district number 1.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any comments? Does anybody have any public comments that they'd like to make? I see nobody coming forth. We'll close public comments. We'll go to council member comments. I'm just going to make the same comment I always make with these districts is we've got to find a way to find more revenue into these districts. The ground cover in these districts are terrible. They're getting to a point of no return where we're just going to end up having to get in there and do major construction. But there's just not enough money. I get it. So how do we get there? And cost only arises. It never goes down. So I don't know what to do with that situation, but we have a responsibility that we had the residents approve or the developers approve this, and now the residents have taken on the burden. But a lot of them don't understand. When you go by, I always use Rolling Hills as an example because they have a very high levy and they have a better service. And then you have like a Sunset Springs, which is a very low assessment and just has basic services. So something, I don't know what we do in the future. I know I've talked to staff about it. I just wanted on record again that I continue to bring this forth, that it's important. We have a lot of these areas that you drive by and they look nice, but if you look detail-wise, it's missing a lot of things. So that's my comments. Any comments from you two?
And Mr. Buckheim, would you repeat once again on landscape lighting landscape lighting maintenance district number 1, what we will assess and what our cost is?
So the assessments will amount to over $571,000. In the engineer's report, we are expecting costs to be over $2.2 million for fiscal year 22-23.
And what's the?
I'm sorry, 23-24.
And the transfer from general fund?
So the general fund at about 1.6 million. To cover the difference between the costs and the assessments.
Yeah, that is a very, very large amount of money. And I know we're going through a process right now of studying what to do and wanting to, reassure residents that we'll have to go to a vote for any kind of an increase for the residents of LMD number 1. And it sounds to me a little bit like the other LMDs are more or less paying their same way, but we'll have to look at that. But LMD number 1 is obviously not, and we're going to have to go through a process of that. And there's been a lot of discussion around the city of, the city council is shoving this down residents' throats without approval, and we're not. This is the ongoing one that you're paying right now. I looked up mine, it's $40 for the year on my property tax for LMD number 1. So that will stay the same until we have a vote of the property owners in LMD 1, whether or not to increase it and by how much, which will come somewhere down the road, I'm imagining. But right now, that is not sustainable. It's clearly not sustainable if it's costing us $2.2 million and we're only collecting $575,000. So, and again, this vote today is just part of the legal process of notifying everybody that we are moving forward with this, but there will be yet another hearing on the adoption of the actual increase or itself, but even there is one more hearing for this one, is there not?
There are public hearings for these 3, which are planned to take place on June 20th.
Yes, so there still is one more opportunity for public input on these as well. So, but I think we need to move forward with this tonight. Thank you.
Ms. Pye?
We've been neglecting this for a long time, and it's not your fault, but we haven't been doing it as we should. And when we take stuff out of the general fund, we're taking from others. Yes, someone may say we're overcharging, but we're taking from those who are paying when we take it out of the general fund, because that means we could be doing other things if we weren't taking it out of the general fund. So yeah, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul, but for the districts that are doing it, that have a reserve, they're being hurt. And so fair is what comes to mine, and it's not fair for us to be taking out of the general fund. And I hear what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying, but this, it has to be fair, and if we don't do this, it's not fair.
Thank you very much. Madam City Attorney, would it be okay to take all three of these in one motion, or do you need them separately?
You could take all three in one motion.
All right, then I will move that we proceed with Landscape Lighting Maintenance District Number 1, intention to proceed for the levy and collection of assessments. For Landscape Lighting Maintenance District Number 2, the intention to proceed for the levy and collection of assessments. And for Drainage Assessment District Number 1, the intention proceeding for the levy and collection of assessments.
Second.
Still not working? Oh, there it goes. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Ladies, thanks for hanging out with us again tonight. We'll get the other two council members back. Council members are re-entering. I will announce item number 7, which is the award professional services agreement for providing state and federal aid assistance as needed on capital improvement projects. Mr. Haker?
It'll actually be Jolene.
That's me.
I should just know for now.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. Each year, the City of Desert Hot Springs applies for state and federal grant funding for grants such as the Highway Safety Improvement Program, the Active Transportation Program, and others that are administered through Caltrans. With such grants, significant document reporting, coordination, and requests are required to ensure that the city remains eligible for grant funds and stays in compliance with state and federal regulations. NEI Consulting has been providing on-call consulting services for the 2022-2023 fiscal year for state and federal aid assistance on projects such as ATP Cycle 3 and Cycle 5 for Palm Drive, ATP Cycle 4 for Hacienda Avenue street improvements, Local Roadway Safety Plan, LRSP, that was developed and adopted by the city, HSIP Cycle 9, which includes the Palm Drive Pedestrian Safety Improvement Project and the Palm Drive Median Project, HSIP Cycle 11 for citywide safety improvements. The city now seeks to enter into a professional services agreement with NEI Consulting to continue their services through fiscal year 23-24. NEI Consulting will provide the following services to the city: prepare documents for city signature and coordinate with the various required agencies, identify grant opportunities, attend project development meetings and pre-construction meetings, assist in the preparation of requests for proposal to ensure compliance with applicable grants, monitor and report on project status with the various agencies, assist with governmental agency projects, assist with project audits, provide compliance services with Caltrans, Federal Highways Administration, or other state or federal agencies. Staff recommends that City Council authorize the city manager to execute the professional services agreement for providing state and federal aid assistance as needed on capital improvement projects with NEI Consulting in the amount not to exceed $69,991. This concludes my report.
Thank you very much. I'll open up to any public comments. Would anybody like to make any comments? See nobody coming forth. I'll close public comments at this time, and I'll open it up to questions from the City Council. Mr. Betts.
More of a comment. I think with the job that staff's been doing, and this isn't, this is something I want to support. You guys have been doing a great job, and I think this technical assistance is going to allow us to do more. We've got our sights set, I think, on Palm and Pearson, and I'm sure that, NAI will be assistance there. So whenever the motion needs to be made, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make it.
I have nobody else in the queue.
Motion to approve staff recommendation.
There is a motion and a second. Any more discussion? See none, please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
We did have one item pulled from the consent calendar. Item number 10, applications for permits to operate fireworks stands, TNT Fireworks, Michael Casserly, FW 23.7 through FW 23.5. Mr. Clark. Travis Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a request to approve 5 proposed locations for fireworks stands. These stands are pretty much identical to the years past. And reviewing the permits and actually reviewing the council video from last year, we understand that there were some concerns specifically for the location at Palm Drive and Desert View Avenue next to the tire shop. By the time we got to the applicant, they had already signed a lease with the owner, so we weren't able to work out an alternative location. I do know that after the reform last year, they did go around to other nearby locations to try to secure a location. They were not able to. So these are the 5 before you. I think previously the limit was 4, and that was increased to 6 with the ordinance amendment last time.
Do we have any public comments on this item? See nobody coming forth. We will close the public comments and open up to staff or council comments. Mr. Betts.
So Desert View is included in this one?
That is correct.
Okay, I didn't see a problem with there. I was able to park easily. I bought some fireworks. I bought from all of them, but I didn't have any particular trouble with that one. So I don't have a problem approving this with that location.
I think with the hair salon moving out of there, it might be a little better parking. I think that was some of the issues that last time. Ms. Pye.
I just wanted to bring this out just for transparency's sake. I know there's people with animals, and sometimes they're fearful of that. I just didn't want us to pass it and nobody knew about it.
Thank you very much. I have no, Mr. Nunez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only, not objection, but I think we need to look closer to is the stand where the grocery outlet is. Because I know last year, getting in out of Mission Springs Park and having that stand there was just chaos. Because people were buying fireworks, but people were trying to cross the street with their cars. So I would say if we can move it to another location, that next year we consider another location, just for safety reasons.
Yeah, and I'll echo that. Don't know how far we can go with this item, but I think there needs to be some sort of temporary barricades put in that intersection to make sure people are not crossing that street, not related to buying fireworks there, but related to the firework July event at the Mission Springs Park. My family was almost T-boned by a car trying to get out in front of traffic there, so something to think about.
I think that was related to this agenda.
Yeah, sort of. I was trying not to overstep my bounds, Mr. Betts.
I got one more comment quick. So we are including the notice in the fireworks that they have to pass out. There was a notice that we had them pass out about making the distinguishing that, that illegal fireworks are illegal and these aren't. Remember that notice?
We'll do it consistent with what we've done in years past, yes.
That's correct.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know if this is appropriate to maybe look at moving that stand to the park for that day. I don't know. I don't know if that's something we can discuss today or.
So if I'm correct, Mr. Clark, is the TNT does the leases and then they've already paid for these leases. They've already put money into these leases.
For
so
this year, yeah.
To force them to move this year would probably be a little costly, but I think our point's probably been made for next year, right? Cool.
Very well.
Yeah, I need a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second? All right, we'll get that on the screen.
Second with bring it to us sooner so we can, next year, so we can pick the
Please vote.
locations better.
Motion passes unanimously.
We have no more agenda items in front of us, but I do reopen the public comments. If anybody didn't make public comments at the beginning of the meeting, would like to make public comments now on items not on the agenda, you may do so at this time. Sir, before you leave, just see the city clerk, he's going to need a blue card filled out by you, but you please come forth and just push the microphone button right there. It'll turn red and state your name and your 3 minutes will begin.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Lamont Jackson. I'm currently a resident of Palm Desert, transitioning to Palm Desert from the city of Rolling Hills, California. I'm the executive director of a nonprofit, Creative Build, and we do a lot of de-escalation, violence prevention work, mental health, substance misuse prevention, and mentoring to a lot of young men. Currently working with a couple of Native American indigenous tribes out here. And I just wanted to, I was invited to the council, well, I'm another thing, and then I saw the council meeting this evening, and I wanted to stop by. So I just want to commend you guys and commend Councilmember Pai on moving the Juneteenth agenda and making it a federal holiday and recognizing it. Thank you.
Well, welcome to the Valley. No other public comments? I see nobody coming forth. We'll close public comments. Our next regular city council meeting will be on June 6th at 6 p.m. The Public Safety Commission will meet June 8th, and the Planning Commission will meet June 13th, and we'll be back here on the 20th for our final meeting of June on June 20th. With that said, we are adjourned.